In this video, we cover the highlights of New York City. A Broadway show, Times Square, a baseball game, and of course the Statue of Liberty. And many more. My name is Elizabeth, and together with my brother, I went on a trip in the US. Our final destination was New York City, where we spent 7 days. Which, in my opinion, is the perfect amount of time to spend there. Let me show you why. If you have seen my previous video about our trip, you know that we have already spent 2 days in New York City. On these days, we already did quite a lot. We visited Central Park, discovered a beautiful church, went to Times Square, ate pizza multiple times, visited the M&M store, and much more. So definitely check out that video. Technically, we thus spent more than 7 days in New York City. However, I do believe that a week is a good amount of time to cover the most special highlights of New York, which I also cover in this video. Oh, and if you're curious how we handle the costs of all these messies, stay tuned until the end in the bloopers. The first day that I count for this 7-day itinerary, we started the day with going to the 9/11 Memorial, which was highly impressive. The water monuments you see are located where the towers once stood, and the names of the more than 3,000 victims are engraved on the edge. Besides this outer monument, we also visited the 9/11 Museum, which I would highly recommend to visit as it gives a lot of extra information. After visiting the memorial and the museum, it was time for something completely different. We went to the Statue of Liberty, which we were so excited for. And then the boat dropped us off. And after this amazing sketch, we took a lot of photos. And not only from the statue itself, as also the views from the island on the skyline of New York were beautiful as well. After wandering around for quite some time, we got back on board of the boat and cooled down a bit in this lovely fountain. Then we went to our first observation deck to see New York from above. And this one was the One World Observatory, which had this great movie inside the elevator of how New York has developed.
Die lift heen en weer gaat, vind ik heel erg chill.
Ja?
Oh, je ziet die Twin Towers weggaan. Zag je dat?
Nee. Oh, je ziet onze buiten.
Welcome to One World Observatory.
Once we were at the top, we had this beautiful view. And after this highlight, we directly went on to the next one, a sunset boat trip, which was stunning. See for yourself. When this lovely boat trip came to an end, we went to Times Square with actually only one goal: getting a s'more. In the previous video, you have seen that we went to the Hershey store and that we found out that you can have a s'more in that shop. Unfortunately, we were too late to have one then. So now we're back.
Yes. Lekker?
And we loved it. Just as we love Times Square by night. Oh, and by the way, these nachos were amazing. The next day, we started our day at the American Museum of Natural History, which was massive and really nice. Next on our list was the Guggenheim Museum, which I had heard was a very special building besides the interesting paintings. And it indeed was. Moving our way back to the center, we decided to walk through the Central Park as the weather was beautiful and therefore also the views. After enjoying the park for a while, we went back to Times Square where we had a Broadway tour. Here we didn't take many photos, but if you like theater or if you're curious about Broadway, I would recommend doing such a tour as it gives you a lot of insights in how the theater business is working in New York. Then it was time for our second observation deck, and yes, you might guess it will also not be our last one. We went to the Empire State Building. And this time we chose to go there when it's dark to see New York from above with all the lights, and it was amazing. And on this observation deck there was a flower photo spot where we of course had our picture taken. On our way back to the hotel we crossed this cozy looking Irish pub. The third day we started with something really funny, which was called The Ride. And this entailed a bus tour through the center of New York. And this was not just a bus tour, but an entertaining one, as on the route there were all kinds of mini performances happening on the street, between all the people that were just walking there. And this may sound strange, but it was actually a lot of fun. Being done with the bus tour, we went to this nearby candy store, which was so huge. And of course, I needed to grab some candy here. However, because of that, we almost were too late for the Wall Street tour that we had booked. Well, actually, we were too late. Luckily, the group hadn't left yet. In this tour, we got a lot of information about the economical history of the US, which I found very interesting. We passed the New York Stock Exchange, the Fearless Girl statue, and the Trinity Church. As the very long tour was finished, we found ourselves again at the World Trade Center, where we visited the Oculus, a transportation hub and a place where you can do some shopping. On this third day, it was time for our third observation deck, the top of the rock, which we wanted to visit with sunset. However, there were more people with the same plan. So when we got there, the time frame was already fully booked. Therefore, we needed to spend some time downstairs at the building. But this actually turned out pretty nice. And then we could go up, which again gave us beautiful views on the city. A trigger warning here. My brother decided to put his phone outside of the class to film, which made me very nervous. The outcome does look very beautiful though.
En dan gewoon.
After enjoying the view for a bit, I convinced my brother to take a metro to Coney Island, which is a neighborhood with two very nice amusement parks. And here we went into a sort of carousel, which was kind of terrifying as it made such a weird noises. So we had a lot of fun, but we're also happy to get out safely. Day 4, we started at Junior's, a bakery we had heard a lot of. Here we had a sweet breakfast, after which we went to the Museum of Modern Art, which had a big variety of art. Back at Times Square, we bought our tickets for a Broadway show. OMG, I was so excited for this. And after we ate a lunch in a hop-on hop-off bus, the moment was there. Time for the Phantom of the Opera. This show is the longest running show in Broadway history, and it was spectacular. As you can see, I can't hide my excitement. I am still very happy that we visited this show as it was really good. And next we went to, and yes, you might guess it by now, our fourth observation deck, the Edge. And yes, of course there were again beautiful views. And what was special about this one is that you could stand in this corner, which made it feel like you were a bit hanging over the edge. And in addition to that, there's also a glass floor that you can walk on.
Kan je met je hand daar doorheen?
Day 5, we started our day at Rockefeller Plaza, where I got my breakfast at Magnolia Bakery, as I read online about this famous peanut butter chocolate banana pudding. And I must say it was good, but a lot. Honestly, I love sweet things, but I guess I only ate around 8 spoons of it. Then we walked to Bryant Park, where we already had been, and now we visited the New York Public Library next to it, which was beautiful. Next was the Grand Central Terminal, as we read that this would be a wonderful building, and it was. On our way back to Times Square, we encountered these funny statues and went into a supermarket to find some interesting items, as I love supermarkets abroad. Arrived at Times Square, I really wanted to make some photos with this cute purple drink that I had seen everywhere. After the photo shoot, we went into some more stores, under which the Disney store, and yes, again the M&M shop, because why not? Having enjoyed Times Square a bit more, we went to the Yankee Stadium to watch a Yankees baseball game. And as a not really sport fan kind of person, I found it surprisingly fun. The vibe was really nice and we got these towels for free by the entrance, which made we kind of felt more like a supporter. During the game we had a bucket full of fries and chicken, which almost everyone there seemed to eat. And so did we for the full experience. After watching the game, we took some last photos and went back to the hotel. Day 6 started with a ride on the Roosevelt Island tramway, which gave us some nice views of the city. Then we walked to the famous Brooklyn Bridge, which was built in 1883. And besides the bridge being a highlight on its own, being on the bridge also provides you with a view on the skyline of Manhattan. Next on our list was the Charging Bull, which is located in Park Bowling Green. The bull is seen as a bronze icon of Wall Street and was placed there as a symbol of a strong stock market. Again, we went to Park the Battery, and this time my brother also wore his flip-flops and did want to cool down a bit as well. After some chilling, we took the Staten Island ferry, which is a free ferry that through its route provides you with a beautiful view of Manhattan. Back at the Battery, I took these cute photos, and then we went back to our hotel to dress a little warmer for our evening plan, which include having dinner at the Hard Rock Cafe. And as it was our last night of the trip, we also went to a rooftop bar to have a cocktail. And this place had a really good vibe.
Trek hem maar leeg, weet je, trek hem leeg. Okay.
After having lots and lots of fun, the day was there that we had to go home. As we had still a couple hours before we had to catch our flight, we visited Times Square one last time. And then we went back to the hotel to get our stuff and go to the airport. While waiting at the airport, I visited a Lego store and saw all of these Lego artworks. And then we really said goodbye to the US. And after a flight of around 8 hours, we arrived in Amsterdam. And that is where this adventure comes to an end. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Then I'll say, see you in the next one. You might have wondered about the cost of doing so many tours and visiting so many highlights. Well, here's what we did. We bought a 4-day New York pass, which allowed us to access throughout New York almost all the highlights and tours. As the price of such a pass perhaps seems high, in our experience it was totally worth it, because most of the highlights are very expensive in New York. And besides that, we also did a lot of activities that we wouldn't have done if we hadn't such a pass. And most of these experiences turned out really nice. So I really recommend getting such a pass and look into it before you go to New York, as there are many options to choose from.